Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is currently celebrating Diwali with jawans in Jammu and Kashmir's Nowshera sector along the line of control. Prime Minister paid tribute to soldiers who lost their lives in the line of duty. He also hailed our braves for guarding our borders. Here's more on that.
भारत माता की, भारत माता की।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi celebrating yet another Diwali with jawans.
मेरा भी मन करता है कि मैं दिवाली मेरे परिवारजनों के बीच में मनाऊं।
Prime Minister was in Nowshera sector of Jammu and Kashmir along the line of control to celebrate Festival of Lights.
आप सभी के बीच आना, जो भाव अपने परिवार के बीच जाकर के होता है, वही भाव मेरे मन में होता है।
While keeping up with his practice of spending Diwali with the security forces, Modi paid his tributes to the soldiers who lost their lives in the line of duty. Prime Minister hailed India's efforts to strengthen its defense infrastructure.
200 से ज्यादा साजो सामान और उपकरण अब देश के भीतर ही खरीदे जाएंगे। आत्मनिर्भर भारत का यही तो संकल्प है। अगले कुछ महीनों में इसमें और सामान जुड़ने वाले हैं। देश को आत्मनिर्भर बनाने वाली ये पॉजिटिव लिस्ट और लंबी हो जाएगी। इससे देश का डिफेंस सेक्टर मजबूत होगा, नए हथियारों उपकरणों के निर्माण के लिए निवेश बढ़ेगा।
As 65% of the defense budget was spent within the nation this year.
आज हमारे देश के भीतर अर्जुन टैंक बन रहे हैं, तेजस जैसे अत्याधुनिक लाइट कॉम्पैक्ट एयरक्राफ्ट बन रहे हैं। अभी विजयादशमी के दिन 7 नई डिफेंस कंपनियों को भी राष्ट्र को समर्पित किया गया है।
Prime Minister even recalled the success of the surgical strike.
सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक में यहां की ब्रिगेड ने जो भूमिका निभाई, वो हर देशवासी को गौरव से भर देता है। और वो दिन तो मैं हमेशा याद रखूंगा, क्योंकि मैं कुछ तय किया था सूर्यास्त के पहले कि सब लोग लौट करके आ जाने चाहिए। और मैं हर पल फोन की घंटी पर टिकटिका के बैठा हुआ था कि आखिर से आखिर मेरा जवान पहुंच गया क्या, और कोई भी नुकसान किए बिना ये मेरे वीर जवान लौट करके आ गए, पराक्रम करके आ गए, सिद्धि प्राप्त करके आ गए।
He also wrote about India's Nari Shakti and their increased contribution in the army.
नारी शक्ति को नए और समर्थ भारत की शक्ति बनाने का गंभीर प्रयास बीते 7 सालों में हर सेक्टर में किया जा रहा है। देश की रक्षा के क्षेत्र में भी भारत की बेटियों की भागीदारी अब नई बुलंदी की तरफ बढ़ रही है। नेवी और एयरफोर्स में अग्रिम मोर्चों पर तैनाती के बाद अब आर्मी में भी महिलाओं की भूमिका का विस्तार हो रहा है।
We are fortunate enough to be able to celebrate festivals at our homes with our loved ones in peace. All thanks to our braves who guard our borders day and night to protect us from the enemy. Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, Kedarnath has been transformed after the destruction that was left behind in 2013 flash floods. Now, the holy shrine is all decked up in its full glory to welcome Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Let's take a look.
the majestic Himalayas, the mighty glaciers, and a holy shrine. Kedarnath weaves beauty and sentiments alike. But a devastating flash flood wreaked havoc in 2013. And left footprints hard to forget. Now years later, the holy shrine is all decked up to welcome PM Modi. Prime Minister Modi will offer prayers to Lord Shiva and also unveil statue of Jagat Guru Shankaracharya. Preparations are on in full swing, from decorations to security arrangements.
Prime Minister Modi to visit Kedarnath, offer prayer at Kedarnath temple and to unveil statue of Lord Shankaracharya.
Prime Minister Modi's visit this year is significant as it was his initiative to rebuild Kedarnath post the 2013 tragedy.
Now, this was the stretch, exactly, the old stretch. Now, everything has been renewed here. Post the tragedy, the massive operations were carried out. Particularly Prime Minister Modi himself individually monitoring the development projects here. And since everything, it was so devastated, now has been rebuilt just in few years. And that's exactly why people, praise Prime Minister Modi, because he has been personally monitoring the development projects, rebuilding Kedarnath after 2013 devastation.
2013 के बाद जब हमने 2015 में ये धाम देखा था तो ये काफी नष्ट हो चुका था, लेकिन उनके प्रयासों के बाद यहाँ काफी बदलाव हुआ है और काफी विकास हो चुका है.
For the people of Kedarnath, the transformation after the destruction is unbelievable. Bridges rebuilt, concrete roads constructed, and shelters for pilgrims remade. Kedarnath is alive again.
महाराज ये बताएं, 2013 में हमने बहुत कुछ यहाँ पर देखा, तब से लेके 21 में लगभग ये 7-8 साल, कितना बदला केदारनाथ?
बहुत बदल गया. ये देखो ना, नवनिर्माण काम हो रहा, मोदी जी का जो ड्रीम प्रोजेक्ट चल रहा है, बहुत सुंदर हो रहा है, इससे कोई दिक्कत नहीं उसमें.
Entire foot track from Gaurikund to Kedarnath was swept away in the deluge. Now a movable concrete track has been prepared to facilitate pilgrims at Kedar Valley.
Administration, the SDRF, the Mountaineering Institute, Army, all agencies were roped in to ensure a proper trek is made before pilgrimage resumes post-devastation. And now, since the Prime Minister is visiting this place, everything is now being decorated to welcome and greet the Prime Minister as he has gifted various development projects to this holy shrine.
Kedarnath now has a sound health facility too. A 4-bed dedicated hospital to treat COVID-19 and hypothermia patients has been set up. With oxygen cylinders and reserve oxygen concentrators, the hospital is prepped up to tackle emergencies.
We have new oxygen concentrators.
Was it brought recently post-COVID?
Yes. It is brought recently post-COVID, and we have few oxygen new cylinders. Okay.
And there are also oxygen backup cylinders kept inside these hospitals. Here, if I could tell Pradeep Gupta to pan the camera, these are the reserve oxygen cylinders besides the oxygen concentrator. And they've seen during the COVID second wave, the kind of tragedy unfolded. All this hospital, yes, at 11,000 feet altitude, these arrangements have been made in place.
Doctors at this facility have only the Prime Minister to thank for the new infrastructure at Kedarnath.
The government has been very supportive and very kind, and PM Modi is very directly looking at the health facilities in the Kedarnath.
A lot has been achieved, but the rebuilding of Kedarnath will continue. But for now, Kedarnath is decked up in all its glory to welcome the Prime Minister.
It was more than an uphill task to rebuild Kedarnath post-2013 tragedy. Prime Minister Modi's personal intervention and his initiative ensured rebuilding of all the infrastructure here in the holy shrine of Kedarnath. Every year, thousands of the pilgrims come from different parts of the country and all across the world. That's the Prime Minister's initiative to rebuild Kedar Valley. At Kedarnath, with Pradeep Gupta, I'm Ashutosh Mishra for India Today.
Now, a big Diwali gift from Modi government to the middle-class citizens. Centre announces a reduction in the excise duty levied on fuel, giving huge relief to people. The move was followed by at least 10 BJP-ruled states in the country announcing a tax cut on fuel prices. Here's more on that. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's big Diwali bonanza. The fuel prices that were literally making commuters cry saw a decline on the auspicious day of Diwali. Centre announced a reduction in the excise duty levied on fuel. Tax has been reduced by 5 rupees on petrol and 10 rupees on diesel. Following which, 10 BJP-ruled states including Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Gujarat, Goa, Manipur, Haryana, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand slashed taxes. Assam and Tripura were the first to announce tax cut on Wednesday evening. Here's a look at the revised price list in our metros.
Petrol price was earlier 110 rupees and 4 paise. Now with the centre's announcement, it comes down by about 7 rupees, 6 to 7 rupees with 103 rupees and 97 paise per litre. Diesel also from 98 rupees, it goes down to 88 rupees. So 10 rupees difference there in the national capital. What about Mumbai? Petrol prices were nearly touching 116 rupees per litre. Now it's gone down to 109 rupees and 98 paise per litre. Diesel at 106.62 rupees per litre. Earlier, from today, it goes down to 96.62 rupees. Let's take a look at the numbers in Kolkata. Fuel prices earlier, before the centre's announcement, were 110 rupees per litre for petrol and 101 rupees and 56 paise for diesel. Now, you see that there is a reduction in the petrol prices. From 110, it's gone to 104 rupees and diesel from 101.56 rupees to 91 rupees and 56 paise. Finally, let's take a look at the city of Chennai, where the petrol price earlier was 106 rupees and 66 paise. Now it's 101 rupees and 40 paise. Similarly with diesel, much like the other states too, here it's a 10 rupee difference. 102 rupees and 59 paise was the amount you'd have had to dole out for diesel till yesterday. Today it's gone down to 92 rupees and 59 paise.
People across states heaved a big sigh of relief.
सर अभी और रियायत देनी चाहिए क्योंकि अभी क्योंकि नॉर्मल जो इंसान है कि नहीं कर पाता है फ्यूल क्योंकि हमें जाना होता काफ़ी तो जो अभी है 100 रुपए का पेट्रोल 2 ही दिन चलता है मुश्किल से
पेट्रोल तो होना ही चाहिए कम क्योंकि इससे हर चीज़ में इफेक्ट पड़ता है जी और सब चीज़ इससे महंगे कम से कम सस्ता होना चाहिए जो पहले था उसके आसपास तो होना ही चाहिए एक्चुअली
मैंने 300 का भराया है तो 5 रुपीज़ कम हुए 15 रुपए हुए बच्चों को 3 चॉकलेट दिला दूंगा अगर 100 रुपए में 50 कम हुए तो फायदा है ना 5 रुपए से चॉकलेट आएगा और क्या आएगा
The diesel prices went up by at least 25 rupees a litre. So comparatively, it is not much of a relief. Although it is a relief to some extent, it will provide some relief to commuters who are taking their cars out. And also it will help, since the diesel prices have gone down as well, it will help bring down the rise in prices of other commodities as well.
While residents of Bengaluru are also relieved, some really want fuel prices to be slashed further.
मैम आपको क्या लगता है फ्यूल प्राइसेस कम हुआ है आज से 10 रुपए सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ने कम किए स्टेट गवर्नमेंट 7 रुपए की
तो अच्छा ही है ना सबके लिए अच्छा
और कम होना चाहिए क्या लगता है
और होना चाहिए सर
बोथ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट एंड स्टेट गवर्नमेंट हियर इन कर्नाटका हैव रिड्यूस्ड द फ्यूल प्राइसेस एज अ गिफ्ट ऑफ दिवाली टू द पीपल ऑफ द स्टेट
Similar sentiments were echoed in neighbouring Chennai, where petrol is little over 100 rupees and diesel at 92 rupees. Most of the commuters say that the relief is not enough.
Most of the commuters are also afraid that there are chances for petrol fuel price to go up once again, rise up again, and that's the reason claim that both centre and state has to decide to bring down the price, probably bring it under GST, one way or the other, help the middle class, especially those who travel by two-wheelers, to help them sustain.
In Didi's Kolkata too, public wants more relaxations.
We have been speaking to a few people who have come in the morning to fill their tanks, especially on a festive season like Diwali, and somewhere they are a bit relieved, but they hope that both the central and the state slash more of the VAT and excise duty on petrol.
Some seem to think that fuel price cut might be linked to upcoming elections in 5 states.
कुछ तो राहत मिली है सर फिलहाल के लिए तो मिली है आगे देखते हैं अगर फिर ना बढ़ा दे, हो सकता है इलेक्शन की वजह से घटाया हो, मालूम नहीं.
While this fuel price cut is much needed respite, the public seems to be saying, "Ye dil mange more." Bureau Report, India Today. Rajinikanth fans across the country got a Diwali gift today as the superstar's film Annathe hit big screens today. Here's a report on the fan frenzy across the globe. In focus here, Tamil Nadu.
Rajinikanth star Annathe hit the big screens on Diwali. The early morning release of Thalaiva's film left his fans in a frenzy. The first show of the movie was at Rohini Theatre in Chennai at 4 a.m. Celebrations of the film's release was no less than the Diwali festivities. Fans ensured a Vera-level celebration as they stepped out to watch Rajini return to the silver screen in over 2 years.
The introduction song was quite really good, and the BGM and the his style went good, and the fight scene was nice.
Normally Rajinikanth movie punch, a lot of punch dialogues, comedy. He is a great comedian and an actor. That was there. And of course, Sara was singing everywhere, nook and corner. We enjoyed that.
Bursting crackers to dancing on the streets to offering coconuts and prayers in temples. Thalaiva fans across states celebrated in style.
Considering what happened last week with the passing away of power star Appu, Puneet Rajkumar, celebrations are extremely low-key. In fact, Rajinikanth's best friend Raj Bahadur came over here to the Sri Balaji Theatre. There was a small puja that was held here, and instead of celebrations and bursting crackers, they decided to actually distribute Appu Gedao, basically saplings over here.
It's a big day for cinema lovers and for Rajinikanth fans. After the second wave, it's first time in Mumbai that theatres and multiplexes are opening up. They are opening up with a Rajinikanth movie and expecting a huge crowd. We have Rajinikanth fans here. सब आप आए पिक्चर देख रहे थे, अन्नाथी मूवी काफी 18 महीने के बाद रजनीकांत साहब का मूवी आया है. क्या फीलिंग?
सर अन्नाथ मूवी आज दिवाली है, हमारा दिवाली है. रजनीकांत का मूवी कभी भी रिलीज होता है, हम लोग का दिवाली रहता है, पोंगल रहता है, ऐसा है.
Today I have 2 more shows which I have already booked, and the next show I'm going with my grandfather.
Thousands queued up outside theatres across India to grab a ticket of the superstar's film.
Just like every other part in Tamil Nadu, this is a festive season and people are coming over with their family and they are celebrating it. In fact, I have one such family over here who has also brought in their child and they have watched the movie. They come in by 7:30 in the morning. As we speak, there are celebrations have also started over here. You have pumpkins. That's got it's a kind of arati for Rajinikanth. So how did you see the audience here? What was your perception of the movie?
It was spectacular, sir. Watching the movie with superstar fans all together is really fun to watch, and I'm highly excited and happy. Sir.
It was an amazing response for the songs when each and every single was launched. But the audience should connect with the song, and that should be a surprise element when they watch the film. And I'm glad that song has more connect while watching the film.
The film has been released in about 1,200 screens outside India and over 1,000 screens in the country.
The WHO finally has given a nod there, a green signal to indigenously developed Covaxin. The nod is likely to give way for Indians receiving Covaxin to travel freely all over the world, besides, of course, opening up doors for exports and manufacturing of the Indian vaccine in other countries as well. Here's our detailed report.
Covaxin approved. It is a moment that the entire country was waiting for. A green signal for India's Covaxin given finally by the World Health Organization. This is the first homemade vaccine against COVID-19.
In the end, all is well, and we are very, very proud that an end-to-end indigenous Indian vaccine is now flying high globally.
After months of deliberations, assessments and studying data provided painstakingly by Bharat Biotech, the nod comes as a huge relief.
मैं आज
ICMR के साइंटिस्ट, भारत बायोटेक के साइंटिस्ट और WHO को अभिनंदन देता हूँ।
So why was the approval by the World Health Organization just so important? An emergency use listing by the world body means Indians who have taken Covaxin can travel anywhere around the world without having to undergo quarantine. It means Covaxin will now be sold commercially. It's going to facilitate countries to expedite regulatory approval processes to introduce the vaccine. Also, Covaxin will reach low-income countries through the COVAX facility, through UNICEF and through PAHO. The WHO has said in a tweet that Covaxin was found to have 78% efficacy against COVID-19 of any severity 14 or more days after the second dose and is extremely suitable for low and middle income countries due to easy storage requirements. 23 vaccines are being looked at by the World Health Organization for approval, out of which only 7 vaccines have got an emergency use listing. Bharat Biotechs Covaxin is the 8th vaccine to get emergency use listing to be used to protect against COVID-19. Sputnik V, for example, is a vaccine that was rolled out much before Covaxin, but still has not got the World Health Organization's emergency use listing, speaking volumes of the fact that Covaxin is not only safe, but also provides protection against the infection. Bharat Biotech has said in a statement that the emergency use listing approval by the WHO validates the international safety and quality standards of Covaxin, and Bharat Biotech is motivated to mitigate the worldwide pandemic.
भारत देश की इनोवेशन, साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी आज विश्व देशों के बीच में रखा गया है। आप सबको भारत बायोटेक की तरफ से अभिनंदन करते हैं।
The head of the company, Dr. Krishna Ella, has said validation by WHO is very significant towards ensuring global access to India's widely administered, safe and efficacious Covaxin.
It is a momentous occasion for Indian innovation, Indian entrepreneurship, Indian startup and Indian science. As a scientist, I pray that India's innovation is starting and it's going to boom as we go along.
The EUL authorization for Covaxin will enable us to contribute to accelerating the equitable access of COVID-19 vaccine and the access to a vaccine globally, thereby addressing the current public health emergency. The process of reviewing the data started in July 2021. The approval more than 3 months later, raising questions on why the delay.
We are in the process. So we are doing whatever the WHO wants it. We are fulfilling all the requirement. It's a process of the regulatory system. So we need to understand. काम हो रहा है. Yes, and WHO पूरा लोग question क्या पूछ रहा है, हम लोग हम answer दे रहा है.
But the approval has not been easy. Far from it. Prime Minister Modi's G20 summit and his meeting with the WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros, seems to have provided the nudge that was so required for urgent assessment and use for the vaccine that India's Prime Minister too has been administered with. The Government of India now wants to ensure that this vaccine reaches as many low-income countries as possible. And for that, efforts will now be towards ramping up production in a big way. In New Delhi with Milan Sharma, Sneha Mordani for India Today.
Now, the World Health Organization's nod to emergency use authorization for Bharat Biotech's Covaxin comes as a big boost to the BJP government. The approval has silenced the opposition and naysayers who are questioning the country's vaccine program. Let's have a look.
On the eve of Diwali, India has one more reason to celebrate. When WHO approved Bharat Biotech's Covaxin, giving it a global recognition. The emergency approval is a shot in the arm for India and recognition of the country's vaccine research capability. The UN agency said Covaxin met all standards of protection and that it is suitable for people above the age of 18. The vaccine should be administered at a gap of 4 weeks. WHO said the effects of the jab on pregnant women remains uncertain. Covaxin has shown 78% efficacy and is easy to store, making it suitable for low and mid-level income nations.
We at Bharat Biotech are grateful to the Honorable Prime Minister and many respected people who took the Covaxin to instill the confidence in Indian science.
WHO's emergency approval comes just 3 days after Prime Minister Modi meet with WHO chief on the sidelines of G20 summit in Rome. The approval also silences political rivals of Prime Minister Modi who have been questioning the country's vaccine program. 2 weeks ago, when India marked administration of 1 billion doses, the Congress had picked on the WHO delay, questioning if there was a defect in Covaxin.
लाखों भारतीयों ने भारत बायोटेक का वैक्सीन लगाया इसलिए कि चॉइस ही नहीं है, अस्पताल में जो वैक्सीन दी उसे वो लगवानी पड़ेगी. नाउ दे कांट ट्रेवल अब्रॉड क्योंकि ना WHO ना दुनिया का कोई और देश भारत बायोटेक की वैक्सीन को मंजूरी नहीं दे रहा.
Congress General Secretary Mallikarjun Kharge said that Covaxin approval was pending due to diplomatic delay, which was a proof of failed leadership by the Prime Minister. He also questioned India's image on the global stage. The WHO stamp of approval is a boost for the BJP. It demolishes Congress attacks on the Modi government over Covaxin. Bureau Report, India Today.
And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of the Bulletin. For other news and updates, you could log on to indiatoday.in. You could also download our app for more. Thank you for watching.